internet friends. Welcome to Becoming an Artist Live. This is a really fun show where every time we come to you from a different location somewhere around the world, it's a really show for you, like helping you discover the artist that's inside of you. We go through these struggles together, all this sort of thing. So today, I'm with someone that has actually become an artist in his own right, even more so. This is the famous Max Patte, the sculptor. How are you, Max?
Very well, thank you, Trey. Nice to be here with you.
We are at a very unique thing here in Queenstown. This is my friend's home, Ben and Tam, and they've actually emptied out all their furniture and replaced it with a ton of his sculptures. So we're having a little art party tonight. Before we get started, I thought we would have a little tour and you could tell us what's going on.
Yep.
So we should get started with this piece right here, because I think it's something that kind of helped launch your career.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I pretty much owe everything today to this sculpture here, which I produced back in 2007 for the waterfront in Wellington. I describe this work as a sort of an emotional portrait. It describes me at a particular time when I sculpted it for that particular spot where the full-size work now stands. So these two pieces here are sort of little archive works, cast iron works, and then we've brought in a whole load of my new works, which are very different, and some people probably can't really get the connection between this older work and the new stuff that I'm doing now.
But do a quick spin around, Curtis,
Yep.
so you can see all the different stuff that's here. We'll do a little art tour, look around. Let's go over this orange one. Hey Ben, how's it going? And what is this one called?
This work's called Into Oblivion. You can't see it at the moment, but during the daytime he's got a fantastic view down over the Shokover River.
Right.
So this work, I mean, this is a sort of complete departure in a way from the cast iron works, but it's still based on the human figure. This is actually a digital body scan of me that's then been put through a computer program to morph it into these kind of geometric planes and then CNC milled out on one of my machines back in the studio. And reproduced in fiberglass, and it's, you know, again, it's different. This is quite sort of earthy, raw cast iron, and now these are kind of much more contemporary materials, fiberglass, automated paints, super high gloss and colourful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so those of you that don't know his history, we'll link to it in the show notes and all that stuff, and link to your studio and all that good stuff. But you came over from England to lead the sculpting department at Weta Workshop.
Yes,
and
that's right, yeah.
helped out with Lord of the Rings and did all that stuff. So pretty much all of that stuff was either you or influenced by you. Yeah?
Some of it, yeah. I mean, I was very fortunate to be asked to supervise the sculpting department during The Hobbit.
Right.
That was the last sort of major film that I worked on at Weta before I sort of taken a complete departure, and now I have my own studio and do my own thing there. But I still have a very close connection with Weta. But yeah, I owe a lot to them because it was that sort of behind-the-scenes privilege that I had to see all of the technologies and the technicians that they employ every day in the film world. I was able to kind of cherry-pick the best of those ideas that I wanted to employ in my own artwork. So I still go back there virtually every day and see what they're doing and see what new technologies they're using. For instance, some of the blades for the weapons that they produced on The Hobbit were 3D printed in titanium. So I did a bit of investigation there and found there's a company in Auckland that 3D print in titanium. So when we go through to the back room in a little while, I'll be able to show you some works there that are 3D printed in titanium. Isn't
it weird how like just stuff happens and you have ideas and then you're like, I should print a statue in titanium.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Something that wouldn't even occur to you like 3 years ago.
No, exactly. If you're not there and you don't see that technology all the time, if I was an artist just sort of ensconced in my own studio and never saw the outside world, I might be kind of pigeonholed just doing one thing. But it's one of my sort of great pleasures is to be able to kind of delve into other areas and mix and match a bit.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, let's head back here. We'll go down into another hallway. Pretty awesome. Hey, Melissa, can I see your wine glass there? This is, by the way, our friend's wine company, Akarua. She's actually my next door neighbor. She's bringing my wife pretty soon here. And she arrived and a little bit of wine. How long did it take to set all this up? How long have you been in Ben's house?
2 days. Well, yeah, 2 days. Yesterday morning, it's just two of us. We turned up and we started moving all our furniture around, shoving it in the kids' rooms. I think Ben's children are all sort of hidden in their bunk beds behind stacks of furniture while my artwork takes their place.
I would be so frightened moving this stuff around that it would break or...
Yeah, that's always a huge worry. Tony, a guy from my studio, he spent obviously 48 hours before I arrived driving all this stuff down here. I didn't want to put it on with a commercial carrier because it's such precious cargo, and then next week we go over to Queenstown, so the timelines are all quite tight, and need to take care of it.
What's the situation? I'm actually curious how this whole thing came about. All I know is that I got an invitation from Westpac that they're putting on this whole thing for you guys, and it's like a private affair. What made Westpac approach you to do this whole very special thing?
Well, my manager, not to blame, but to thank for that.
The great Julia.
The great Julia Barnes, yeah. So she's worked with Westpac, and she organises quite a few events for them. But she has very much an art background, used to live in Tokyo for 14 years before she moved back to New Zealand. She was subbing out for Westpac for a couple of years, and I met with her, and she saw that as an opportunity to kind of get back into the art world and the art scene. So she actually went and presented Westpac with this idea to do a private art show for their top tier clients. This is going back 2 years. So from then it's kind of snowballed, and we keep getting asked to do these various little shows around the country.
That's really unique.
Yeah, partly Westpac clients and partly friends of Ben's and friends of mine.
So that's nice. It's a weird life you've carved out for yourself, isn't it? A weird good life.
You could have never picked it, definitely. 10 years ago, when I was at home in London, I would never have picked that I'm in Queenstown, New Zealand, 10 years on, a private art show in a beautiful home.
One thing that we do talk about on the show, and we talk to lots of artists and creatives and entrepreneurs, like a central theme that I see happening, and you can tell me if this is the case with you, I know it's the case with me, is that when you just kind of open your heart to the universe and just accept things, and you kind of really sense the vibrations of everything that's happening around you, amazing stuff happens in your life. And you don't know why, but I think it is being open-hearted and vulnerable to the universe.
Yeah, absolutely, Almost saying yes to the opportunities to come along, but also learning to say no to the other opportunities.
Right. It's hard to say no sometimes, isn't it? Because you go for so long as like a struggling artist, and people want you to do something, and you want to say yes to everything, but it's impossible, really.
But this is one I definitely wasn't going to say no to. Any excuse to come down to Queenstown is good, but when you get invited down to show your work in such a beautiful setting and a beautiful home.
So some of you guys that have followed my photos for a while, you might remember some of his sculptures from the hills. That first piece we looked at, it's on a bridge overlooking this beautiful serene pond. And also he did those horses that are in the middle of the field. I'm taking a few photos of that too. Like, those are incredible. What gave you the idea to make those horses?
Well, that was actually Michael.
All right.
Michael Hill, of course.
So Michael Hill.
He approached me 2 years before those works were installed and asked if he could buy another edition of Solace in the Wind, the piece that he now has on the bridge, and the piece from Wellington. And he invited me down for the weekend with Amy, my now wife, over a couple of months. And he said, I'd like you this weekend while you're here to choose where that piece is going to go. And then on the Sunday morning over breakfast, he kind of surprised me and said, actually, we've decided, we've had a bit of a family meeting, we'd like to commission work. Long story short, almost a year after that meeting and sort of various different concepts along the way, he phoned me from Beijing, where he was standing in the Art District 798 amongst the 110 or 111 bronze wolves that he now has at the property. And he described to me this scene. He said, I want you to sculpt me. He said at the time 60 horses. Okay, 60 horses, I don't know.
Max, I want 60 horses. I want them to be gigantic and tremendous.
No, he actually said they don't have to be full size, they could be miniature horses. And I was like, no, it's never going to work. They have to be huge horses, fewer horses, please, Michael, but bigger horses. So ultimately, 2 years later, that's where we were at, 5 huge quads.
It's great. There's patrons of the arts out there that I think it's one of those things that happened in the medieval days with the Medicis and the great Italian families. It's nice that people still do this.
Absolutely, I mean, they are the people that put bread in my mouth every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
So let's talk about this one, because I know this one has a really special story. Come get a close-up on it, Curtis, and then I'll get over by you. And you can throw in any wild questions that you see. Feel free to interrupt, it's okay.
That's good. Go ahead and tell us about
So what is this one called?
I've called this one Twist Series. So again, this started with a digital body scan of my life model, and then put through a computer program, ZBrush, or ZBrush if you're American. And we twisted it, and I really liked it, and we started playing around with it. I never conceived to put them on turntables. And I was approached later on by a couple in Wellington who live up in Evans Bay, above the airport, where it's really, really windy. And they had said to me that their mother, who was in her 90s, who had just been diagnosed with cancer and had only been given 6 months to live, who had met me the previous year during one of the art talks I'd given at home. She said, after being diagnosed, that she would like to take some of the money that she was going to leave to them to commission a work from me. And she chose this work, which to this day still surprises me, that a 90-odd-year-old woman would choose, as it turned out, a bright orange, naked, twisted guy to stand on the deck. But I just thought that was lovely, and she wanted something that was happy and vibrant, that would remind the couple of their mother. So I showed them this work, and they picked the middle one. They asked me if I could put it on a turntable and whether or not it would twist in the Wellington wind. A little bit apprehensive about that, whether it would or it wouldn't, and whether I could actually make a sculpture strong enough to withstand the wind, especially one with such sort of fine components as his arms and fingers. But then they found this company through Weta, because they were making the blades for the Hobbit, north of Auckland, Zenith Technica, and I approached them, who have the world's biggest 3D titanium printer. I asked them to do some experiments, and I commissioned them to make the small series. I showed the small one to them and said, this is actually made in titanium. It will definitely withstand anything that you can throw at it.
Right.
And they went for it. They took the dive and said, yeah, okay, let's make the full-size version. So there's now one of these sculptures, just over 1.8 metres tall, in Wellington, and it does indeed. It spins in the wind.
So it is 1.8 meters.
Yeah.
3D printed titanium.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just trying to get that straight, but because it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
That can.
Yeah, it is. It's nuts. The whole sculpture only weighs, I think, just over 30 kilos.
Is it in a place we can see it? Because we're actually taking the show to Wellington in 2 weeks. Or is it in a private house?
Which way were you? Okay, so you're flying from Queenstown. It's difficult to know which side of the plane you need to sit on. I think if you sit on the right-hand side of the plane, and you're lucky enough to come in, if they do a loop and they come in north, look out the window, and it's
Ratcliff.
virtually luminous orange, so you've not failed to miss
Wow.
it. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, right.
And so this must be kind of mind-boggling, this idea that you can print anything with titanium.
Yep.
How do you, one thing that we're getting our head around, we fly a lot of drones, and I take a lot of pictures with the drone, right? And it just so happens that whenever you take photos, the camera is by your head. But that's really an arbitrary location for the camera. And so it's mind-boggling to me to know that I could take the drone like anywhere, like kilometers around me. So it doesn't really matter where I am, but I can position the camera anywhere. But this is hard for my brain to understand. So like when you're dealing with this new technology, now you can print anything, super strong. What are you going to do next with it?
Obviously Zaha Hadid, famous architect, has been in the news a lot because she recently died. And I remember watching a documentary on her, I think maybe last year, as part of the International Documentary Festival.
Yeah.
And learning about this system that she's helped develop called parametrics, where you can take a cube and you can morph that cube into a shape that your brain can never conceive of. And even if it could conceive those shapes, there's no way that your hand could ever draw them or let alone sculpt them. But now with 3D printing, all of that is possible. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about that particular program and take the human form, because the human form is so sort of evident in all of my work, and see what crazy shapes that we can get out of that, and then 3D print it, because the sky's the limit and we can do anything. And also it's kind of important for all of my work that people can look at it and go, well, that's of a particular time.
Right.
So it's using this new media and these new technologies.
Awesome, dude. You're my kind of guy. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. Curtis, sound good?
Yeah, we can have a look down here if you want.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about these a little bit.
So this was really my first outing into sort of digital technology. The blue one, I called this piece Revision, Division, and Subdivision, because in that program, ZBrush that I was talking about, the digital sculpting program, you basically you scan something and you create a mesh, and then you divide it and you subdivide it to create more and more layers, and that kind of fitted with this revision, because this is like a revision of the human form and anatomy and classical sculpture, and then it's division, and then it's subdivision.
Right.
But this piece I'd only created with the mind to make the first one and never to create these, but this was really a response of what it felt like for the first time for me to kind of put my own work on exhibition. And it really feels like you're up there naked, stripped clean for everybody to look at, so that was why I decided to do it kind of up there on the wall.
Oh, nice. It's incredible. It's such a different mind that makes sculptures. It's really impressive. It reminds me of how different mediums are. Like I'm sure you look at other like musicians or painters or whatever. You're like, how do they do that? And that's what I think when I look at your stuff. I mean, I think it's so beautiful, and I think, wow, the mind that comes out of it must be just as beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks very much.
So the other person that we wanted to thank was Ben and Tam's.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're at Ben and Tam's house, and if you haven't seen the episode, we had a really fun episode we did about a week and a half ago, was it, Curtis?
Yeah.
And yeah, what Ben did is he's like a cocktail guy. He has this company called Cocktail Merchant. He has a gin company, it's called Blue Duck.
Well, that's the name of the gin. The Simply Pure, I think.
Simply Pure
is the name of the company. Yes.
And so you got to watch that episode because we make some crazy cocktails, and he knows all this kind of stuff. And I tried to make it, and I failed. It's a big failure. But at least we had cocktails at the end of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll wrap it up now.
Yeah, unless you want to go sneak outside. I didn't know if you want to go to the entrance.
Let's sneak up. We'll end outside.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's a couple cool. I think one of the things that made this whole thing begin is he has these two tremendous statues. Were those from Lord of the Rings?
No.
Wow, my
collection.
They feel very Lord of the Rings. They used to stand outside of Amosfield Winery. But then, I don't know how it happened, but Ben and Tam ended up buying them, and now they're at their house. So they're right out here. We'll end it in our cold outdoors. Yeah, check these things out. So, I think a lot of the pieces you saw in there were a little smaller, but the kind of things that Max is normally known for are like tremendously huge. So this is the kind of scale that I think you're mostly into, right?
Yeah, these are a lot of fun to sculpt, and probably some of the biggest figures that I have done.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching, my internet friends.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, look, here we go. Just in time. Yes.
I didn't get one.
Yeah, you didn't get one. He's the main. Here, have mine. I'll get another one.
No, it's fine. I'm going to have a cocktail.
Oh, rats. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Max. That was great. I feel like a better man just for knowing you. I can't wait to see what you do next. You're really inspirational to me, and I know you're inspirational to everyone watching. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too.
Okay, cool. All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.